Hey techies, it's Dan. It's Two Guys Talk Tech. Of course, that means that there's another guy.
Your interests suck.
It's Jacob.
So I'm going to tell them what we're talking about.
See, and I wasn't actually going to pick on you today. I wasn't going to remind them that you are the guy who gets my coffee before episodes, but you had to.
I did not get his coffee for him.
You get my coffee every episode.
Today, we love retro technology.
We do.
We've got well over 100 retro computers in our collection, and we spend tons of time just playing Donkey Kong and the Atari 800 XL, but we gotta admit, we're spoiled these days with some amazing
Absolutely.
things.
And, owning the archive of technology that we do reinforces that over and over. Like, we've been dealing with this issue lately where we're, trying to record from computers that only have RF signals out. And that whole process makes me, again, happy to know that most things just have an HDMI connector on them.
Right.
Plug them in.
Say what you want about HDMI. Oh, I plugged it in and it was upside down, so I got to flip it around. It is so much more convenient than a lot of the old.
You don't even have to worry about that because, it won't go in the other way.
I love just the idea that we used to just be okay with televisions that had to have a remote control in order to get on their inputs, right? In order to mess with anything other than the basic channels.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas basically, sometimes they're lame, but TVs today are just computers.
Right.
They've got far more capability just built into the television.
Yeah, they have the nice little microphones that are keeping track of everything you say and do.
Oh, that's the best part.
Yeah.
No, my favorite are when you get a smart TV and then 2 years later they just take apps away from it because they don't want to support it anymore.
Right.
That's my favorite.
Right.
Never buy a smart TV.
So we're already getting off topic. Already, within the first few moments, You have managed to go on a tangent unrelated to the point of this episode. So why don't you tell the techies what we're talking about?
The techies.
The techies.
Do you guys like that name, or do you want a new one? Do you want a refund? I don't blame you. So we're going to be talking about modern conveniences of technology that we could not live without.
And to be clear, we're not talking about just like computer. It could be really anything. Obviously, we're going to focus more on computers and mobile because that's our thing. But it really could be anything. And we have not discussed amongst each other some of these things. So our reactions, may be way off here. We may vehemently disagree or may completely.
I think I'll start us off with a pretty obvious one.
Okay.
Wikipedia.
Oh, that's a good starting point.
The number of times we've had an argument about, what year did Back to the Future 2 come out? It was, what?
You were wrong.
86?
I don't know. 86? You're still wrong with whatever it was we argued about. You're too young, though, to really know the alternative, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I didn't have a phone in my pocket till I was an adult.
Right.
So.
But you also came at the tail end of physical book encyclopedias.
When I was a kid, it was still incredibly, no, you do not go on the internet to learn things.
Right. But didn't you have Encarta at that point on CD?
Not till I was in middle school. Was that common to be used? It was still, they wanted you to learn how to research properly in a library with books.
We had World Book.
It was really funny watching that change, though, because when I was in elementary school, it was all, you need to use books, you need the physical encyclopedia, right? Mm-hmm. And then when I was in middle school, it was, some internet sources are fine, but generally you should go with government sites or use a actual, like you said, Encarta or something like that, right?
Right.
In high school, and then it was always in middle school and early high school years for me, it was Wikipedia is the devil, right? But as time evolved, the teachers and whatnot realized, no, Wikipedia is not some crazy thing that people use to, as a cop-out thing. No, Wikipedia is literally the most amazing thing mankind has ever created.
And didn't the dude who created it also own a porn company?
I don't know. That's news to me.
I believe, I can't think of his name now. I think it's Jimmy's
I
Link.
really hope you're pulling this out of nowhere.
I'm
you're just...
seriously. You guys will have to, tell us on this, but I remember reading that he ran a porn company. To me, Wikipedia is amazing. It's an amazing concept. It's the whole crowdsourcing of information is fascinating to me. Now, that doesn't mean it's always accurate because anyone can edit it, but it is self-healing and self-correcting.
I was just earlier today reading this thing about this guy who showed up at a concert and he edited the Wikipedia page for the guy who was on stage and listed himself as his relative to get backstage.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, but in general, Wikipedia.
But that person, I hope, was banned.
Probably.
And deserves.
Have you ever edited
public shaming
something on Wikipedia?
No.
Me neither.
No.
You don't have that nerd cred point yet? No. We need to do a nerd cred bingo.
Actually, I take that back. I may have actually edited an article once.
I have edited Wikipedia.
Yeah, because there was one we were, one of the businesses we used to own, and the page was wrong. We submitted edits. But I will say Wikipedia is probably the number one site that I use on a weekly basis.
It's very... you had all those resources back in the day where it was a portal to send you to articles and stuff on what you wanted, and Wikipedia on its own does that job better. Right. You want to go in depth into something, find its Wikipedia page and just scroll down, and there's 100 amazing sources.
And for me, I find the retail industry to be fascinating, and I love to go on Wikipedia and look at the history of retail companies. It's amazing the amount of information and detail that's there. I think, as a society, we are blessed to have that. It's one of the better things.
I used to have a ritual when I was younger that I would do. Maybe I should start it up again. It was really cool. Where every day I would go on Wikipedia and click random and just read one random article a day.
No, I think that's great because there's things that you'll consume that you would never do otherwise.
Right.
That's kind of fascinating.
Have you ever ended up on a Wikipedia binge?
Yes.
Where you're just reading an article, you're like, oh, I'm reading this article on plums. And
right.
Oh, there's something on raisins.
No, that happens to me all the time. It's like a rabbit hole, but it's it's a very positive experience.
Now I'm on wine, and here's brandy, and now we're on France for some reason.
And it's funny because in the article you'll find a link, and you'll be like, "Oh man, I got to do that." So you open that in a new tab, and then you end up with like 10 tabs open. Wikipedia.
Have you ever heard of the Hitler game?
No.
So the goal is,
I'm really afraid.
You find a Wikipedia page, and your goal is to get from that page to the page on Adolf Hitler by going through links.
Why?
So
why would you want to do that?
I don't know. I've heard other people being used or other things as the endpoint, but for whatever reason, Hitler's the one I've seen the most, right? But so your goal is, it's kind of like a 7 degrees of separation thing.
Huh.
You have to strategically choose your links that you click through to get to it.
Fascinating.
Yeah. We spent 10 minutes on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I love Wikipedia. All right. So,
the argument winner, Wikipedia. Number 1.
I wouldn't say number 1.
What's next? Number A.
All right. So, even though I've got like a lot of big picture ones that I could easily put in here and, really take an easy way out, I'm going to go with something that's a little bit less big picture. I think cut, copy, paste is one of the best things ever invented in the world.
As someone who has never lived in a world without it, we definitely take it for granted.
Oh, no, absolutely. And as you've started to experiment with old computers that we have, how many times you've been like, oh man, what was that command? I can't, or I just typed that, now I got to type it again.
It's so nice.
And imagine editing a script like you do for,
the amount of productivity I get from being able to cut and paste
Mm-hmm.
is immense. Like
Right.
that's probably 15% of my entire process of writing a script is copying and pasting.
Right,
things.
because you're bringing in information, you're moving things around. Imagine having to do that. Like, imagine
Yeah, that would be
going
quite the
to
pain.
the point where you would have to retype the whole paragraph because you decided you wanted to put a sentence in a different order.
Mhm. That would suck.
Right. So I would say that on a daily basis, that feature, that methodology saves me hours of work.
Mhm.
So while I could have gone with some of the easy big picture things, I think that's one of the best things ever created in technology. So that's my first one.
All right, I'm gonna talk about one that I know you probably would bring up too.
Okay.
It's the simple things in life, particularly being able to go. I'll use two examples.
Mhm.
Instead of having to go walk into the other room, turn the television on, flip to the weather channel, and wait and sit there through whatever to find out what the forecast for the next 7 days is, there's an app for that.
Right.
Or you
Right.
can just go Google Milwaukee weather today or whatever, you know,
Right.
a widget on your home screen.
I was just in Chicago this week, and they had this huge snowstorm that was expected, right?
Mhm.
And I was able to go into my weather app, select Chicago, and keep looking at the forecast going forward, and tell like I was able to look at the radar and look at all the different models and see where it was going, and that is amazing. I remember I have a friend who's a weather person, meteorologist, and we were on a trip once, and he's looking at this app on his phone, and he goes, "It's gonna rain in a few minutes, and it's gonna rain right here, and it'll rain probably for like 10 minutes, and then we'll be fine. So let's go find something to go, cover us and wait." And sure enough, a few minutes later, it starts pouring. And then a few minutes later, it clears off, and it's like, all right, we can go now. And I'm like, that is amazing.
Right.
Again, you're younger, but in my young days, you had 3, then later 4 networks.
Mhm.
You'd have to wait till the 10 o'clock news, and then wait till the end of that news to get the weather. And you also didn't have the hyper-local aspect of it. So the weather forecast for an area at the time I lived in Chicago would talk about the whole metropolitan area, right?
Mhm.
Well, now a lot of these apps can tell you where you're standing, as opposed to across the street might get rain.
So
That's amazing.
Probably the biggest easy thing that has become second nature to every one of us
Mhm.
that used to be a big ordeal was keeping track of your money.
Oh, right.
How easy is it to know how much money is in your bank account now?
It's amazing how different that experience is. Again, you probably never had to do this, but they probably taught you this in school. But you used to have a checkbook, you'd have to balance
I'm so
it.
mad about that because it was drilled into my head. I had multiple classes for years on checkbooks and writing checks and how to manage your write it
statement.
all out, your statement, everything. I had multiple classes that forced you to learn this.
Right.
I've not used it once.
You have only written checks when I ask you to do something because I'm busy, and we only have maybe like 3 people that we deal with in the whole business and personal
I have
who require
never
checks.
in my life owned a check like of my own.
Right.
Ever. That's amazing.
And okay, so we'll take a step further. It used to be you would write a check, you put it in your register, and it could be days before that check cleared the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes even longer. Nowadays, if you are one of those people who insist on writing a check, which please stop, but if you are and you go to the grocery store or wherever and you write a check, they don't actually like mail that check to the other bank and all that stuff. It's all done electronically, and it still comes out instantaneously.
Well,
And
speaking of electronic transfers.
Mhm.
How cool is it that at any time we can all send each other money?
Right.
You know, oh shoot, I forgot my wallet. Can you pay? I'll send you $10 through PayPal, Venmo, whatever.
Right. It is amazing. I don't like cash. I lose it often. I have a tendency of misplacing cash. But secondary, I find that I spend it a lot quicker than I do if I use my card.
There's something psychological about it. You know, when you see your bank account, you got $100 and you go down to 80, you're like, well, I lost a lot, right?
Right.
But if you give someone a $20 bill and they give you a $10 bill back in change, you're like, well, I've got the same bill.
The worst is, though, when you end up with a lot of ones. Like if let's say you have
the fat stack.
Right. Let's say you have like, $50 and you're, using it and you're getting your change, you're using it, you collect, and it feels like you have money.
Mm-hmm.
When really you have very little, but you have, the number of bills. And that gets me all the time. I'm like, man, I thought I had money, and I'm like, I've only got like $5 left.
What do you got next?
One of my favorite technologies, and one that I interact with a lot, is Google Maps.
Google Maps.
And we'll expand on it a little bit, like just GPS technology in general. But for me, it's Google Maps. And it's the sheer amount of information that I can gather. One of my hobbies is just to go on Google Maps, go to Street View in some place I've never been, and just look around.
Oh, you're such a nerd.
I am. But it's cool. Imagine the fact that I can go pretty much anywhere in the world and see what's there.
I am a directionally challenged individual.
Yes.
I get lost very easily. So just having something in my pocket that can lead me home, probably a good thing.
It is a good thing. And it's amazing. Like, again, I was in Chicago this week, and, just from the train station to the hotel, put it in the phone, and it just tells me, oh, yeah, turn here, you're there.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And you don't have to do like, when GPS devices came out, you had to go buy the software update and do that whole process. No, it's updated. It's real-time information. The other thing that I found fascinating is my group and I are sitting there going, all right, what are we going to do for breakfast today? Going to Google Maps. What are the breakfast restaurants around here? Okay, here's a few.
Mm-hmm.
What are they rated at? What are people saying about them? And what's on their menu? Within, no joke, 5 minutes, I was able to find the restaurant that I've never heard of before, be able to tell my friends what's on the menu, what time it's open to, how busy it is right now, and how quickly we can get there.
Hey, you want to hear a joke? Phone book.
Do you know that they still deliver those?
I do. Like Yellow Pages?
Yeah. Every once in a while you come home and there's just this big brick of paper. And I'm like, why? No one needs a phone book.
No, I don't know one. I can't think of the last time. I can't think of a single time I've seen someone look something up in a phone book.
Right. We used to always joke when my kids were younger, we were like, oh yeah, there's a, the booster chair. Mm-hmm. That's about all we used it for. So yeah, Google Maps is a big one. And again, just online information, Yelp and all those things. It's a big area for me. What do you got?
Definitely. I had something and then I just forgot it.
Uh-oh.
All right. This is probably a good thing, an amazing thing, and a terrible thing at the same time.
A good thing, an amazing thing, but a terrible thing.
I'm going to go with a single website.
Huh.
eBay.
Ooh.
I have the power to have any object in this world delivered to me within a couple of days. No matter what it is, how obscure it is, doesn't matter. It's on eBay.
That's fascinating.
If I want
we use eBay like crazy.
A 1985 Alf thermos, it's there. If I want a hubcap from Ford Focus, a 2013 Ford Focus, I've got it.
If you want a retro computer that is in our collection,
if I want a nice box copy of Windows for Workgroups that I can unbox on our channel, plug. plug. It's there.
I will agree with you on that one.
And
I think
it's different from like Amazon.
right, because Amazon has sellers which have some used products and whatever, but it's not the same experience and it's not the same reasoning. You know what I mean?
You know, I'm inherently, I'll admit it, I'm a collector, right? I love collecting things. I've got tons of useless crap. Just tons. And within a button push, I can get more. You know, it gives the little goblin brain.
You're pretty much on a room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we probably need to block eBay from you for a while.
Uh-oh. I've got like 8 bids coming up. Well, what do you got?
So, Windows workgroups, right?
Mm-hmm.
Networking.
Like
Networking, Ethernet, Wi-Fi, doesn't matter. It's amazing. So again, your age here doesn't allow you to really understand the pain.
the pain.
But at one time, all computers were independent, and we used floppy disk or tape drives.
Or cassettes. Or cartridges.
Cartridges.
The other C word I was looking for.
Well, no, not cartridges, because we would use these to write information
Oh, yeah.
to bring
Can't
somewhere
write on
else.
a ROM cart.
Right? So then came networking. And I remember my first network, it was a Lantastic token, not token ring, BNC, I forget the term, daisy chain network. And the fact that I could take a file from computer A and copy it to computer B over a network was amazing. Now, everything you do with your phone, with your computer, relies on networking, relies on Wi-Fi, really relies on a wired connection.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you do wouldn't exist if someone didn't come up with a way of making that happen, right?
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest advances in technology ever is networking.
Well, yeah, everything runs on it. Kind of boring to talk about now because you're like, well, duh.
Duh, right.
Right.
But now, I remember when Wi-Fi first came out, and being the kind of person I am, I was an early adopter. So I bought these D-Link Wi-Fi. It was 2 little devices. They were connected via USB. That was the first wireless network I had. And I remember how awful it was. It was a total of 11 megabit, I think, combined in the system. So if you had like 4 of them, they were, slicing that up. And it was ungodly bad. Like it would drop connections constantly and whatever. But I was like, man, if that's the future that we can have wireless connectivity.
And now we're on the cusp of wireless power.
Right. It's just,
which would be lovely for in here.
yeah. You guys can't see, but there's a mountain of cables in front of us.
We have single-handedly propped up the extension cable market.
Yeah. But think about this. What's the speed of a 5G connection now?
5G. A lot. I don't know offhand. Several hundred megabytes per second. Constant.
That's just amazing. Life is so different now.
I have friends with unlimited data plans who stream Netflix on the go.
Again, if you had told me, if you were able to go back and tell me at your age where technology is going, I would have never believed you.
Mm-hmm.
It just amazes me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think networking is by far one of the biggest advances that we've had for society, period.
All right. Are you ready for my next one?
I am.
And you are going to appreciate this. I know it. The archive.
Could you be a little bit more specific?
Yes, I was about to, but then you interrupted me. So
can you tell me more?
I can go back in time in my own life, and I can go, because I've got everything backed up everywhere, find pictures that otherwise I would have never had. I can go, oh, gee, what was that recipe I made 6.5 years ago that I'm kind of feeling for? The note-taking,
I use Evernote for
Evernote or your Dropbox stuff.
I don't use Dropbox.
There's so much of our lives that we can just back up now and go back to whenever we might need to. You remember when people would have to store their photos and, they'd be so cumbersome? Most people just stored the negatives.
Right.
That's not convenient.
Right. For our company, we multiple years ago got sick of paper. There's so much paperwork, so much paper. So as CEO, I said, as a company, we're going to reduce paper. And everything became a matter of being scanned in or being received in PDF form first.
Mm-hmm.
We have a archive that's searchable of everything, and it's controllable. So people in different departments in a company have access to different areas. I don't have to ever sit there and go, where is that invoice from that company from 3 years ago?
Exactly.
I go right into the system, boom, 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 got it. That is amazing. Same thing with emails. We do that with emails so that I can go back and look at emails from 10 years ago. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a good one.
I remember getting up an invite from someone to join this website last year, and I never did it, and now I feel kind of awkward when I talk to them. I'm going to go do that. Where's that email?
I think it's amazing to me, though, how much data we're collecting and how, obviously we're a different use case because, we have to store raw video, and that's a lot of data.
Right. How many terabytes are we up to? Answer: a lot.
A lot. How many more terabytes
do we need?
Yeah,
a lot.
It's a constant battle. But think of consumers and how much data they're collecting of their lives. But you had talked about archiving your the pictures and such, and that just brought me back to the fact that most people store their pictures on Facebook, and they
or
go
in
back
their
and
iCloud account.
Well, yeah,
it's probably the most common. Right.
I don't use Apple products.
Right,
so
but that's probably the most common place.
Probably
stuff
in the U.S. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because iOS devices make up a huge portion of the U.S. market, not world market, but I think But yeah, archiving and being able to retain data and find data is amazing. So that brings me to my last one, I think.
Okay.
And that's storage. Storage. You're talking about archiving and data and all that. Again, you're just learning this from your experience with this channel. But storage was a pain. Before computers, obviously, everything was physical. So you had physical copies of paper, you had physical this, physical that. And then we started, having cassette tapes of data, then and reel to reel, like the really big IBM mainframes. Those were scary looking being next to them, and then floppy disk, and then the CDs, and then DVDs, then Blu-rays, then ridiculously archaic hard drives on cards that break on you, to MFM hard drives, to RLL hard drives, to ID hard drives,
and
to SATA hard drives, to flash. You can now have so much storage in your pocket.
There was a trend, right, where the biggest jump we've ever had with storage was from floppy disk to CD. You went from 1.44 megs maximum on a single disk to 700 megabytes.
I'm just going to test you here because you're known for getting this wrong. So is it 5.25?
No.
Or 5.5?
Yes, it's 5.25 and 3.5. But there was people were so excited because holy cow, this one disc can hold blank, right?
660 megabytes, isn't it, for a CD?
It varies. They were able to get more out of them later, and it depends on how good your error correction is. Did you know if you had no error correction on a CD, it could hold 1.7 gigabytes?
I did not know that.
There's so much error correction on it because it's kind of a flaky format,
right?
That it takes up a lot of that. And DVD is 12 gigs. Wow. It could hold. Yeah.
I did not know that.
But with the CD, right when that was happening, there was this trend of I want everything on CD. Of you can now buy this disc, which is the entire works of William Shakespeare on one convenient disc, right? Here's there's these massive libraries of books or whatnot on a single CD, and that never continued after the CD generation.
Well, it didn't continue because it got to the point where you can have that online, and go back to my last thing about networking. So
How cool would it be though to have like the entire Gutenberg collection of public domain works on a single Blu-ray disc?
but you can get it online.
I know.
And here's the thing: in
Or it's
our,
like
in our production office, right next to here, we have shelves and shelves of CD-ROMs.
Mhm.
Some of them are amazing, like QuickTime based videos of a whole bunch of stuff. The amount of data you can get on CD was fascinating, but the problem was that data outgrew the format.
You ever seen the like little physical Wikipedia device that had all of Wikipedia on it?
No.
Yeah, that was a thing.
But see, I tend to think that that's unnecessary at this point.
Yes, but it's fun.
Because that's a point in time snapshot of something.
yes,
Now we have continuously updating data. We don't have to wait for the next version of something.
I will say I feel like the like cell phones and whatnot don't have enough storage.
But that's
Anymore.
artificial. It's the market that does that.
I feel like the like ratio of normal content
Mhm.
to storage has actually gone down in past years.
I would agree. But again, I think that's artificial
Right.
because the technology is there to do a lot more storage than they're doing.
Technically you can have, Samsung's had phones that are like, well, you could do up to 2 terabytes. But the standard, if you polled everyone in the world, how much data does, or the average is probably what, 32 gigs?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I
I don't know though. Actually, it may be less than that because a lot of the consumer phones, like you
Right.
buy at T-Mobile or not T-Mobile,
So maybe it's
Metro
16.
PCS and such, they get like 16 gig
Right.
ones. I don't know. Maybe 32 is probably your average.
It's just kind of weird to me that this amazing piece of technology I have in my pocket is roughly the same storage as the flash drive I had in high school.
That's a good point.
Whereas like computers, we're on a big upswing. Like nowadays, I'm like, I don't know if you want to have that 1 terabyte hard drive only.
But we actually had this weird thing happen though because we went from mechanical hard drives where we were up to 12 terabytes, and then we made that switch to SSD where everyone's like, okay, these SSDs are 128 meg or
Gig.
Thank you, 128 gig.
I remember the first wave of SSDs, the normal was 64 gig.
Right, and you made that change because the speed difference is ridiculous.
Yeah. And it made your OS run so much better.
Right.
But-
But then we had that problem. Like I have a few of my computers that have 128s in them still on the boot drive.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh man, that Windows update is, I can't even install it unless I remove something.
What would you say is the minimum amount of storage that you would feel comfortable with a desktop computer now? The minimum.
I'm not your normal user. So do you want like a normal user?
Sure, a normal user than yourself.
A normal user should have at least a terabyte.
Yes, I'd say a terabyte is that number. Now you still see it's weird because you get a lot of laptops now a lot of your SSD only laptops only do 256 gig
And
or
that's not-
500.
That's not enough.
No,
Not even close.
I'd say 1 terabyte is the minimum. And for you,
My last computer had, I want to say about 32 terabytes of storage on it.
I think I currently have 11 in my home computer,
But
including my 1 terabyte SSD.
but now we have NASA's that we are connected to with 12 gigabyte networking, and we're just offloading stuff. So
12 gigabyte network. Anyways,
again,
you have in this
see, I'm showing my age with sizes and such here again.
in this entire office space here, if we added up all the storage we have, we're probably at least 100 terabytes.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Because just in like USB based drives that we've offloaded some really old content to.
That we don't need to access all the time.
or ever. There's probably 100 of those right there. So it's 100. I know most of those are like 4 terabyte drives.
So we've got quite a bit here.
Yeah.
It's just we're not Linus Tech Tips over here with his nice arrays of petabytes of storage.
Yeah. And for me, it's a constant battle of acquiring more storage and maintaining storage because video, especially as you change to 4K and bigger, file sizes, it's a ridiculous process. And then, if we allow Jacob to do a video, all the times that he has to redo a script because he, can't speak.
Oh, mister, I've never read off of a teleprompter in my life.
That adds a lot of data too. So, did you have any more?
I think this is a good stopping point.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've covered the basics. I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into, some of the more obscure things. But I think this was interesting. This is, knowing how far we've come and the fact that, you guys get to watch us do these first look videos of these very old, strange computers.
It's the oldest computer we own.
Huh.
Probably the Atari 400 and 800. That's 79.
Yeah, because, we actually have one that you haven't seen yet.
Oh.
That's from 79.
Okay. So I think 79 is probably our threshold right now.
Yeah.
The oldest we've gone.
Yeah, you have to see that one pretty soon.
That's 41 years.
Wow. That amazes me. I can't think of any consumer, computers from earlier than that. So.
Well, anyways, I think that's a good time to wrap it up. So we're only so clever and only great at coming up with 5 episodes. So if you guys have any ideas for topics that are better than this one, oh yeah, we're on 6 episodes. So we're out. If you guys can suggest some good episode suggestions for us, we'll probably ignore you, but you never know.
He'll ignore you, and we'll listen. And if you'd like to know more about the the computer collection that we have, Discord's the place to be. Ask us, what we have. Ask us, any questions about them. We'd be happy.
We have received requests to cover specific computers in the past, and
and one of them
someone goes, "Hey, can you guys get an Atari 400?"
Yep. Yeah. So we really do want to know what you guys want to see. Hit us up on Discord and let us know.
Yeah. And if you'd like to support us financially,
please
Patreon. We need more terabyte hard drive enclosures, and we're running out of space. So that's if you guys give us money, that's what it's going to.
That and old computers.
And old computers. And no, that's it.
No, that's it. Yeah, because that's all we spend money on lately.
See you guys next time.
Bye, guys.